We spent 4 years and 10 months paying off our house, and a question that some people would ask, well, what about your credit score? What's going to happen to your credit score? You're not going to have any debt on your credit. First off, we are credit card users, so we do have a few credit cards we're putting into our credit every month that we pay off in full. Second of all, I don't personally feel like I would ever let some type of thing stop me from becoming debt-free. It depends on what kind of person you are. Do you value keeping up with the demands of the world, like credit scores? Or do you value being debt-free? Or do you value both? I value both. And just because you pay off a loan doesn't mean your credit score is going to tank to the 500s. I recognize that paying off our house was something that probably was going to drop our credit score a little bit, but it's not something that would have ever stopped me from paying off our house. And it's not something that I really thought about because a few credit score points to me is just so insignificant when you're comparing to not having a house payment. So to answer the question, yes, we did pay off our house in July, and by August, I did notice my credit score go down quite a bit. And by quite a bit, I was in between 800 and 810, and I did drop to the high 780s. So it was probably like 785, 787, something like that. Would I like to be above 800? Absolutely. Who wouldn't? Is it bad to have a 780, 790 credit score? No, that's still really, really good. I have several paid off accounts on my credit now, including a mortgage. Not saying that means I can get whatever I want, but I also am not in the mindset of using my credit to borrow money. I kind of like I'm past that point in my life now where I want to sign up for loans still. Does that mean that I'm never going to need to borrow money? I don't know what the future holds, but I know that I have taken every single intentional act that I can from pretty much my entire 20s to be able to avoid getting a car loan. You know, I don't want to get a mortgage again. That might sound crazy to some people. They're like, whoa, how could you do that? Well, we have 100% equity in our home now. If it really came down to it, you know, we could always sell our home, use that profit to buy another house, or eventually save up enough money where we could put some money on top of the profit that we get from this house and buy another house. So I think that anything is possible. It depends on what you allow yourself to believe. Some people think I could never buy a car, you know, in cash because they think that they always have to get a car loan. In America, I mean, maybe around the world, people are so used to getting what they want and just getting it. Or I want this, I'm going to go get it by going into debt. We've gotten so far away from the life of saving up for something that you want and then buying it. Payments are normal, and it's just as normal to people. You know, Dave Ramsey talks about, oh, don't worry about your credit score, let it dwindle to nothing. I don't agree with that. But I do agree with his stance on saying that credit is like an I love debt score. It is indeed a score of how well you manage debt. Like you have to go into debt to get some credit history going. Like you have to get a credit card, or at least, you know, let alone any other type of loan. You have to get that score stimulated or get that credit history going by at least going into debt of a credit card. Now, if you're like me and you pay it in full, you still have to make sure that on that cycle date, which is typically whenever your account is getting reported to the credit bureau, that it has something getting reported as your balance. Like if you paid in full and it's on zero for most of the month, they also look at that. So it's just like, you got to be kind of strategic like I was when I first got my credit cards. When I first got credit cards, I got a secured card. I got two of them. My limit was $300. So you have to start somewhere regardless. Back to credit scores. I value credit scores. I don't think that it's just for borrowing money. Obviously, we know that actually. So while you do have gurus out there telling you don't need a score for this, you know, just go ahead. If you need to buy an apartment or if you need to rent an apartment, just pay them 12 months in advance. And if they say no, you don't want the apartment anyway. We have to be realistic, especially starting out in life. If you're trying to rent an apartment, you have to go by their rules. Like, that's the thing with these places, whether it's a loan company, a mortgage, an apartment, any place that you owe money to, you have to do what they say, follow their terms and conditions. And if they don't allow something like that, which I feel like that's only realistic if you're renting from like a private person, and they say, sure, I'll take your 12 months money in advance for sure. But we know that credit scores are also looked at, or your credit report, for insurance, You know, if you want to get a credit card in the future, utility bills, like there's so many things that they'll still look at your credit, even if you're not saying, I want to take out a loan. So with me, we kind of swore off debt a long time ago because, for one, that's adding a monthly expense. That's one more bill I have to pay every month. Even when it comes to subscriptions, I'm choosing to pay them in full for the year if I can. You know, Amazon Prime, I pay that in full. And most of the time when you do pay these subscriptions for the year, they're giving you a discount for doing so. So I save money that way as well. But it's just, I don't want to bill every month if I don't have to. I'd rather put that money aside myself and pay it when it's due once a year. We did buy our first vehicle in cash from a dealer over 4 years ago. That was a great feeling. Leaving with a vehicle that I really liked, having no car payment, it's a great feeling. And people can absolutely accomplish more than they think they can accomplish. It's not just, oh, I need this, I need that. It takes some preparation. It takes some, okay, I can pay off this loan. Now let me start putting aside for a future vehicle. If you notice in our budget, that's what we're doing right now. We don't plan on getting another vehicle for probably a couple of years, but we know cars are not getting any cheaper, and we're going to start putting away for that right now. So I say to anyone, if you are hesitant on becoming debt-free because of the repercussions, I've heard so many, you know, I've heard people say, oh, well, what about the tax benefits? I mean, there's really so many reasons why it's not a valid argument. For one, if you don't itemize your taxes, you're not claiming your mortgage interest on your taxes. And then still, why would I pay X amount of dollars in interest on a mortgage just to get a fraction of that back at tax time? Like, to me, that just doesn't make sense. There's so many things I've heard as to why I should or should not pay off my house. As you see, it's paid off. Don't let other people tell you what to do with your life. They don't pay your bills. They're not contributing to your bills. So do whatever you want to do. If you want to keep debt and keep getting back into debt for the rest of your life, then do that. I just don't like when other people tell others how to live their life. Every time that you sign up for a mortgage, like you're starting over, you're going to have another mortgage for at least another 15 to 30 years if you just pay that minimum. And that's not saying that you'll never move. That means that every time you do move, you're starting that 15 or 30-year mortgage term over, and you're signing up for another X amount of years, unless you pay it off early. So it has been the norm for a long time to keep a 30-year mortgage, keep a 15, 20-year mortgage. And if you do choose a 15 route, bless you, that's amazing. You're doing a lot for yourself. But if you're doing more than that, you're going to be having a mortgage for a long time, and that's okay. But people hardly think about paying off things early, especially a house. So there's really, if you can afford it in your budget, putting a little bit more towards it, not only are you going to save a lot of money in interest, but you're going to be without a mortgage payment sooner every time you send a little bit extra. So to answer your question, with whatever scenario you can come up with, what about this? What about that? It's been brought up, you know, it's been thought about, and never was it enough to where I'd say, you know what? I don't think I want to pay off this house. I don't think it's worth it, because it is. It's amazing. We're accomplishing so much now. We're saving so much. We're investing more. Like, we're really focusing on those things that kind of just been put a little bit on the back burner. I mean, we were already investing, you know, through our paychecks for our kids, 529, but just knowing that it's only up from here and we're still so young is a great feeling, because even though we have a paid off house, we don't make as much money as some other people. Some people told me I make crumbs. So the point is it's really not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep. And not having a mortgage payment is letting us keep a lot more money to ourselves and putting it towards so many things. And I hope 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line, we have a lot to show for it, including my oldest son going to college, not having to take out any student loans, breaking generational curses, and he will not have to start his adult life straddled down by debt just like we did. Like, I don't want that for my kids. I think it's the least I can do, because kids don't ask to be brought into this world. The least we can do is just try to give them a little bit of a leg up if you can. We're able, so I want to help them when it comes to adulthood and starting out their life, because I can't even imagine how much rent is going to be in 10 years, how much a mortgage payment is going to be in 10 years. And I don't know if I can do all that for them. The least I can do is try to help them get a leg up to have a degree, have a trade, something. And also tell everybody that I can about it. Like, hey, the one thing I wish I did differently was just starting out when my kids were babies with their $529 because you'd be surprised what $25, $50 could do from you from the very beginning. We're trying to catch up now. I know we'd have a lot more sitting there because what is $25, $50 a month? That's like cutting out a fast food meal or something, you know? So let me know what you guys think. Do you feel like a credit score is enough to stop you from paying off debt early? I don't think that argument is valid, and I probably never will, but that's only if you ask my opinion. What do you think?